Hey there friends, thanks for joining me again, and on this first Sun Oven Sunday recipe video, of course we did last week the first Sun Oven video, I introduced the different types of sun ovens that I have and then the different equipment that I use in them, and so this is the first actual recipe video. We're going to start small with like the really easy recipes, the stuff that's really simple, you know, pre-cooked stuff in a box mix, etc., which you'll see in a second, but we're just going to start with the real easy stuff and then we're going to work our way up from there. Just getting toward the things that are a little bit more challenging, you know. I don't want to jump right into advanced sun oven cooking with, you know, how to make like a soup or a lasagna or anything. I want to start simple and small, and so forgive me if it's, you know, too simple and easy for you, but don't worry, they will get more challenging as we go. So on this first recipe, I wanted to start with some hot dogs because they're probably the easiest thing ever to cook in the sun oven, and so yeah, let's just get started with that. So here we have them in the pan. So we're going to use the pie plate method that I showed you last time, these little plates or whatever they are, pie pans. So I put a little bit of oil in the bottom so that they don't stick. I put those in there. I use the bulldog clips like I mentioned, put them on either side to keep the whole thing closed. And yeah, we'll just throw it in the sun oven, and for this one I'm going to use my homemade one, a window box sun oven. Now we're going to probably cook them for about 30 minutes in that one. If you were cooking them in, say, a global sun oven or a bigger one with reflectors, you're going to want to probably back off of that time to 20 minutes because hot dogs can turn kind of rubbery and dry if you cook them too long. So yeah, just watch them closely, and no water or anything. We just kind of roast them style in the sun oven. Okay, so there they are in the sun oven, off to do pretty much anything I want to do now because we don't have to watch them like you would if you were cooking something else on the stove. Okay, so for this demonstration, we're just going to do some reheating. This could be a homemade soup that you've made and put in the fridge, or home canned, or just a can bought from the grocery store of some kind of soup or stew or whatever. So this is an already cooked food. We're just going to be heating it. So I'm not going to leave the spoon in there. This particular one is a lentil stew or soup. Okay. So we're going to put this in the sun oven, we're going to leave it here for 30 minutes, and then we'll have a heated lunch. Okay, and then here in the sun oven, the Sunflare sun oven, we're going to put some little bread with cheese on it. Again, nothing being cooked here, just heating and melting. Okay, so it's been a bit, and now it's time to check it. Let's temp it and see. Okay, well, while we wait for that to finish, let's check on the Sunflare here. It's melting and even oozing off the side. Nope, it won't let me show it. Oh well. Well, that worked. And what about this? 178? Yep, that's plenty hot enough. Okay, so I did want to point out really quick, I was just cutting them and I wanted to mention that it does cook like a toaster oven in that the edges are hard and crunchy and not just soft and soggy. So that is achieved with using the black pan. It gets hot, and so the bottom does get toasty and crunchy and not just, you know, melty and soft. Okay friends, so for today's demonstration we are actually going to make something in a box mix. I don't really eat this kind of stuff all that often. Once in a while we'll do it, you know, on the weekends or whatever when we've got some other things going on and just need something simple and quick. But I also do realize that a lot of other people do eat this kind of stuff, so I wanted to include it in the demonstration, how to adapt a recipe that's on a box mix to a sun oven. So this is a red beans and rice type mix thing, available almost anywhere. But pretty inexpensive actually, more expensive than obviously making it from scratch, but less expensive than of course eating out. The instructions on this box mix says to mix 2 cups of water with the beans and rice in the seasoning packet, put some oil in it, stir well, and then bring to a boil. So it says right off the bat, start it in cold water, then bring it up to a boil. Then it says cover, reduce heat to low, do not lift lid while cooking, simmer 28 minutes. That's important. And then it says remove from heat and let stand covered for 5 minutes. Fluff with a fork. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put the beans and rice into the roasting pan I showed you in the beginning of the video, and then we're going to obviously mix it with the water and all that. But the one thing that you want to make sure to do differently with any kind of recipe really is that you want to use less water. This is accounting for the fact that it's going to be cooked on a stovetop, so there's going to be more water evaporating from a stovetop, you know, cooking type thing than if you were making it in a sun oven. So if you like your rice al dente, which is the way it probably recommends that you make it, you're going to want to back off that water slightly. I would say probably more like 1 3/4 cups water rather than the 2 cups, because again, you won't have all that evaporation. If you like your rice on the softer side, then go ahead and use the 2 cups. So if you make a box mix like this and you frequently find that the 2 cups isn't enough and you find yourself adding more water to make it, you know, the way that you prefer it, then use the full amount. Hopefully that makes sense. And then the thing also says to simmer it for 28 minutes. When you're adapting a recipe to a sun oven, the thing you're going to want to do is basically double the time. So if this says to cook it for basically 30 minutes, we're going to cook it for an hour. I'm going to start it in the sun oven in the cold water, set it out there, literally walk away for a whole hour, and then we're going to open it and you'll see what it looks like. It'll be fully done like it usually is. And then you could just serve it just like normal. So pretty much that's how you adapt a recipe to a sun oven. You use slightly less water. And then the other thing that you're going to want to do is, you know, double the cooking time. And then here in a second, I'll show you also how to adjust the temperature of the sun oven, because it says to cook on low. So we won't want to set the sun oven and then point it directly in the sun for, you know, what would be high heat. You know, I'll show you in a second how to make it to where you can cook on, you know, either medium or low heat. You still using the sun oven just like normal. Okay, so here we go. It's 11 a.m., just a little after. Here are the beans in the sun oven. Just going to get the lid on it, and this is what it looks like before. Okay, so here we are looking at the front of the sun oven, and the way that you adjust the temperature of the sun oven is by making the shadows different. So if you have the shadows on both sides of the sun oven even, that means it's in high heat. That means the sun is directly above it. If you were to turn the sun oven slightly, say like that, now you're pointing it away from the sun some. So you see now how the shadow is much larger on this side than that side? Pointing it slightly away, this is going to be more like a medium high. If you keep moving it, so this is going to be more like a medium, how this side almost has no shadow at all, and then all the shadow is on the other side. And then if you continue to move it even still to where this portion of the sun oven is actually in the sun, and this portion of it is, you know, all in the shade, and the shadow is quite large. This is going to be what is low. You do want to keep in mind though the track of the sun. So as we're looking at the sun oven right now, this side is east, this side is west. So as the sun continues to go up in the sky, it's going to turn from what is low right now into more of a medium and then eventually a high. So even though you set the temperature to the sun oven now, it's actually going to change as the time goes on. So you can either use this to your advantage in, you can use this to your advantage in 2 ways. One, you can set the temperature differently. So for our box mix we're making right now, it says to cook it on low, so I'm going to leave it just like this. Or the second way that you can do it is you can start it earlier and then leave the food in the sun oven, and then as the time goes on, it'll automatically kick on when the sun reaches the right time in the sky, and then it'll start cooking so that you don't have to start it right when you want to have the food. Does that make sense? So say you were leaving in the early morning and you wanted to come home to some food that was ready in the sun oven. Well, what you could do is just set it to where it's straight up and down like this, even though the sun is all the way to that side, and then as the sun comes up, it becomes noon, it starts cooking your food. So it's not cooking the entire time, it's only cooking for the time, you know, like say the last hour before you get home or whatnot. So those are the 2 ways that you can use the sun to your advantage to adjust the temperature to what it is that you want to cook according to your recipe, or to delay cooking until the time when you want the food ready. Okay, so as you can see, it is now 12:12. Can you see that? There it is. 12:12. So I left it in there for just over an hour, but hey, that's what happens. You don't have to worry about things too much when you're cooking in a sun oven. It's possible to overcook things, but it's just not all that common. So anyway, you can go to the park, go play with your kids, go hang out outside, do anything you want to do other than cooking, because you don't obviously have to be doing that. I went open housing, which is why I'm late. Oh well. So let's check on it and see. I can smell it, so I'm pretty sure it's pretty close. Alright, look at that. Do you see that? It's like perfectly cooked. Oh yeah, I think that's perfect. Totally easy. I love using the sun oven. It makes things so easy. Just go do whatever you want to do. Tons of freedom. and just have something cooked when we're done. And because it's like a 90-degree day today, keep the heat out of the house.